Alright boys, I know you've already read the title, so I'm not going to waste your time. I'm going to get straight into how to make better loops that stand out from the crowd and sound special. So the first thing a lot of people do when they go in and try and make a loop is to get the chords. Don't click off the video. I'm not one of those guys that's going to teach you how to make a triad. I'm not even going to teach you how to make minor ninths, minor sevenths, diminished chords, none of that. But we are going to talk about chords because the producer community has a bit of a problem with chords. Everyone uses the same 2 to 3 progressions. Now here's the part where I'd sell you
the Unison MIDI chord pack.
And I'm not about that life. I personally have nothing against these products, but I just think there's a lot better out there. What am I talking about when I say there's better out there? Now I'm gonna tell you boys what I've been doing recently to get some unique chord progressions, some unique voicings, and just use some unique chords. You're gonna have to hear me out on this one, but I've been using ChatGPT. Now hold up, let me cook. So, I know there's a lot of chord generators and MIDI chord packs or whatever, but for me, they've just never really done it. I've just never really found using them to be that inspiring. So the thing about ChatGPT is you can get really specific with your prompts. If you go ahead and type in, give me some chords in the style of Drake, obviously it's gonna give me some dodgy chords, which probably aren't gonna sound good, and you can make yourself. But if you experiment with it, get a bit creative, come up with some cool prompts. So a prompt I have used in the past is, give me some jazzy chord progressions in the scale of F minor that have a bit of atmosphere and create tension. Now these chords and chord progressions are looking a lot better. Even if you just look at it, it looks a bit more complex, it looks a bit more unique. I'm gonna pick this one at random and just play it for you guys. So that's how the progression sounds with the basic as piano, no changes, nothing, just straight out of ChatGPT. It gives me some pretty crazy chords pretty much every single time, if I use the right prompts. If you want my personal list of prompts, click the first link in the description, put in your email, and I'll send them over to you for free. So now that I've gone ahead, I've chosen this progression, I then play it in with my MIDI keyboard. I choose to do this every single time, even though it takes me a while. I'm no piano player, I play each chord individually. It just gives a much more realistic feel, and I do still see people that are clicking in their melodies, nothing against it, you can get them sounding fire. But when I do this along with the ChatGPT method, sometimes, you know, your boy will mess up and he'll accidentally push the wrong key. Happy accidents, bro. So you start with that idea, you push a wrong key, but it actually sounds good. You keep it going, or maybe you change your chords around, and there's just a lot of flexibility when you play your stuff in. So the ChatGPT method, playing it in, can't go wrong, bro. I hope that little bit of chord source that I've been doing has helped you boys. But now I'm gonna get into some more generalized tips to help you improve your melodies. I personally run into the problem of, okay, cool, got my chords down. Now what the fuck do I do? So here's how we fix that. If you're trying to make a loop in a certain genre, like say for this loop, I'm gonna go for a NEMS type of vibe, or listen to NEMS songs, or even my favorite NEMS loop makers, right? Or YouTube type beats. Just go listen to the type of instrumentation that they have within the loops and the beats that you're hearing. But listen a little bit deeper, like don't just go, oh, there's a piano, there's a vocal, there's a violin. Make sure when you're listening to these, you listen for some patterns as well, some common riffs or some common sort of melody lines or rhythms that happen within the melodies. There could be 7 sounds, but 4 of those sounds only playing 1 or 2 notes. Like if you have the same 7 sounds, but you go overboard with it, it's gonna sound trash. So use your ear, use it critically, as I've said. Moving on. I'm gonna quickly give some tips for specific sounds. Firstly, vocals. Not every loop needs a flipping vocal, mate. Like, relax. I see a lot of producers forcing the vocals into their loops because they think they need it. So this is your reminder, not every loop needs a vocal. In terms of instruments like guitars, violins, trumpets, if you're going for that sort of fake VST sound, that's fine. But if you're trying to make a realistic sound, make sure your processing is on point. And if it doesn't sound realistic, I would scrap it. And if you can't get something sounding realistic, maybe try a phrase, get a phrase from a contact bank or just a random pack online. That's a lot better than, you know, trying to make something sound realistic, but it just doesn't hit. So just be careful with that. Lastly, this is a bit more of an advanced tip, but I would try and retain this in the back of my mind no matter how far you are along your producer journey. And that's thinking about like the stereo field and obviously the EQ and the frequency range. An objectively perfect sounding loop will have every single element of the loop in its own place within both the stereo field and the frequency field. Nothing clashing, nothing competing for space. So that's one thing to think about. You can start using panners, you can use stereo widening things, EQs. Just keep that sort of stuff in the back of your mind and as you grow as a producer, you can focus on it more. The reason I say to keep it in the back of your mind is because it is kind of subjective. Some people like some things wide, some people don't. It's a lot harder to sort of judge, and in my opinion, it can be a bit of a trap. You can spend way too long making micro EQs and micro adjustments to the stereo field that really most people won't even notice. Now, the most important part of the video, actually implementing these tips. Don't let this be another video you've watched which was full of gems, but you forget 10 minutes later. Make sure you act on these, like this video so you come back to it for later. Go ahead and get those free ChatGPT prompts, because I do really think that this is a good method to sort of break some beat block and creative block in general. If you have enjoyed the video, do go ahead and subscribe. It really helps me out. But that's enough waffling for me. I appreciate you boys. See you on the next one. Peace!